The desert had fallen eerily silent. Even the wind seemed to hesitate, as if waiting. Anaya sat in her tent, the copper tablets spread around her like a protective circle. But she could no longer ignore the feeling that they were being watched. It started subtly. Footprints at night that didn't match any of her team, faint radio signals that interrupted their equipment, and drones, small, mechanical eyes, hovering at the edge of the excavation site. Someone was tracking them. Then came the call. A voice, distorted but unmistakable, on a secure satellite line. Dr. Verma, you've gone too far. The knowledge you've uncovered isn't yours to hold. It belongs to those who can manage it responsibly. Step aside. Anaya froze, the phone trembling in her hand. Her pulse raced. Who could have such reach? Over the next days, she began to uncover hints. Files hidden in Karen's laptop, messages in encrypted channels, even letters slipped into her tent that disappeared before she could read them. The more she investigated, the more she realized that a shadow network, a covert organization, had been monitoring every excavation of the Indus Valley for decades. Their purpose was clear: control the energy before it fell into untrained hands. According to fragments of intercepted communications, this network was comprised of former intelligence officers, rogue archaeologists, and corporate executives. They claimed the Indus secret could either save or destroy civilization, depending on who wielded it. But their methods were ruthless. Anaya found evidence of sabotage in the dig, tools mysteriously disappearing, structural weaknesses in the newly exposed chamber, and one worker's sudden disappearance under suspicious circumstances. Each event mirrored warnings in the tablets. Those who seek to hoard the fire will be consumed by it. Tarek confronted her late one night. They're not just watching us, Anaya. They're manipulating us. Karen, the leaks, the drones. It's all part of their plan. Anaya clenched her fists, anger and fear intertwining. Then we can't stop at just uncovering the truth. We have to protect it from everyone. As she looked toward the glowing copper lines in the chamber below, she understood the chilling reality. The Council of Nine hadn't merely fought among themselves. They had left behind guardianship instructions, encoded in the tablets. And now, for the first time in 4,000 years, the world outside Mohenjo-daro was on the verge of repeating the same mistakes. Lightning flashed across the ruins, and for a fleeting moment, she thought she saw a shadowed figure moving purposefully among the stones, an agent of the network, perhaps, or a phantom echo of the ancient council. The chase had begun. Night had fallen over the ruins, and the camp lay under a blanket of uneasy silence. Lanterns flickered against the canvas walls, casting long, jittering shadows across Anaya's exhausted face. She had spent days piecing together the copper tablets, and now the final fragments began to form a terrifying pattern. Unlike the earlier passages, these lines weren't just descriptions, they were instructions. But cryptic instructions. Diagrams of stars, rivers, and canals intertwined with warnings and prophecies. The script seemed almost alive, shifting in meaning with every new insight she uncovered. Anaya traced a finger across one passage. When the cycle returns, only the chosen shall awaken the power. To misuse it is to invite ruin. The keepers must heed the balance of sky and river. It was a message not for their contemporaries, not even for archaeologists. It was for someone who would live millennia later. And that someone was unmistakably her. As she studied further, visions came unbidden. She saw the Indus people, robed, solemn, standing at the center of their cities, arms outstretched toward the flowing water. The energy pulsed like veins in the earth beneath their feet, responding to their alignment with the stars. And then she saw the turning point, the moment when greed overtook duty, when the guardians turned on each other, unleashing chaos. Tarek entered, carrying a lantern that made the copper tablets gleam like molten metal. "You're muttering to yourself again," he said, half amused, half worried. "What is it this time?" Anaya's voice trembled. "It's the cycle. They wrote this for us. For me. Every step, every line. It's a warning, a map, and a key. If we don't understand it fully, everything they tried to protect will be lost." She spread out a tablet depicting the city's layout, overlaid with celestial patterns. The arrangement of drains, canals, and reservoirs formed a grid that corresponded not just to the stars, but also to a hidden flow of energy, something that seemed to hum beneath the ground even now. Tarek stared in disbelief. So all this, the glowing copper, the warmth, the hum, it's not just natural. It's controlled. And they left us the instructions? Anaya nodded slowly. Yes, but it's dangerous. If misread, if misused, the river itself could turn against us. And I don't just mean floods. This is bigger. Entire regions could be affected. Outside, a sandstorm roared, as if the desert itself was testing her resolve. She looked at Tarek and whispered, "We have to decide what to do with this knowledge. Every second we wait, someone else is trying to take it. And if they succeed, history may repeat itself." The tablets lay before them, glowing faintly in the lamplight. The secret was no longer buried. It was a living script, waiting for the right hands to wield it or destroy it. The desert night was alive with tension. Anaya's lanterns cast long shadows over the ruins, and the faint hum from the copper channels below had grown into a low, vibrating thrum that seemed to echo through her bones. She tightened her gloves around the tablets, her heartbeat matching the pulse beneath the earth. Tarek ran beside her, carrying ropes and tools, while Karen lagged behind, or rather, shadowed them, pretending to help but with eyes that flickered with hunger for the secret. Outside the camp, lights moved unnaturally fast, drones from the shadow network, their sensors scanning for any sign of the hidden chamber. Every second mattered. The entrance to the final chamber, predicted in the last tablet, was narrow and treacherous. Ancient stones had shifted over millennia. Some were loose, threatening to collapse. They had no maps, only the cryptic star diagrams that Anaya had painstakingly pieced together. As they descended, the walls of the tunnel seemed to breathe, the copper conduits glowing faintly, lighting their path like veins of molten metal. The hum intensified. Each step triggered the faint vibration of energy flowing beneath the stone. "Careful," Anaya warned, as Tarek almost slipped into a pit that had opened where the floor had eroded. Suddenly, Karen lunged forward, trying to grab one of the tablets. "You don't understand what this is. With this, we control everything." Anaya blocked him, shoving him aside. The tablets clattered, and the hum intensified, as if the energy itself reacted to human greed. A section of the ceiling trembled, dust falling like rain. Tarek shouted, "Move. It's unstable." They raced deeper, guided by the diagrams, dodging crumbling stones and hidden pitfalls. At the heart of the chamber, they found it, a stone dais surrounded by copper channels, the center of a massive underground energy conduit. The walls glowed with inscriptions, celestial alignments, and cryptic warnings. Anaya's chest tightened. This was what the Council of Nine had protected at all costs. The final chamber, the culmination of centuries of knowledge, risk, and bloodshed. And now, it was in human hands once again. Karen's shadow fell over the dais, his eyes wide with desire. "Step aside. You don't know what this power could do." Anaya raised the tablet like a shield. "I do know. I've read their warnings. This isn't for us to wield, it's to contain." The hum became a roar. The floor beneath Karen quivered, and for the first time, the energy felt alive, sentient, almost judging their intentions. Lightning flashed through cracks in the ceiling, illuminating the inscriptions. "Balance is eternal. Betrayal is annihilation." For a moment, time froze. The past and present collided. Anaya realized the same mistakes the council had made were poised to repeat. And only one choice would decide who survived this night, and whether the secret of the Indus Valley would live or destroy. The air in the final chamber vibrated with power, a tangible force that seemed to pulse in rhythm with Anaya's heartbeat. Copper channels glimmered, inscriptions shimmered faintly, and the energy thrummed like a living creature. She stood at the stone dais, the tablet clutched in her hands, and felt the weight of millennia pressing down. Tarek crouched nearby, eyes wide, sweat beading his forehead. "Doctor, whatever you do, decide quickly. That hum, it's not just a warning. It's alive. I can feel it." Karen's face loomed from the shadows, a mask of greed and desperation. "Stop hesitating, Anaya. You could change everything. Energy, power, knowledge. Don't waste it." Anaya shook her head. Her voice was calm, but edged with steel. "I've read their warnings. The Council of Nine built this to protect humanity, not give it a weapon. They foresaw what would happen if this power fell into the wrong hands. I won't make their mistakes. Her eyes swept the chamber. The copper conduits pulsed stronger, as if responding to her resolve. The inscriptions glowed, casting ghostly reflections across the walls. Balance is eternal. Betrayal is annihilation. The cycle must not be broken. She could feel the energy tugging at her, whispering promises of brilliance, of control, of solving crises far beyond anything humanity had ever known. One choice, one moment, and the world could be reshaped. One misstep, and catastrophe would follow. Tarek gripped her arm. "Doctor, they're coming. The Shadow Network. They'll take it if we wait." Her mind flashed to the Council of Nine, arguing, fighting, and ultimately destroying themselves over the same temptation. And she thought of Karen, his eyes gleaming with ambition, willing to risk everything for power. Her fingers hovered over the central control, a mysterious mechanism that, according to the tablets, could release or contain the energy. A storm of doubt and fear raged inside her, but clarity emerged. She pressed the lever, but not to activate. Instead, she initiated the containment sequence encoded by the ancient council. The copper hummed louder, a crescendo that shook the chamber walls. Karen screamed in frustration, thrown back by the sudden surge of restrained energy. The mechanism sealed with a metallic clang. The chamber dimmed, the hum fading into a steady heartbeat. The energy was contained, preserved but inaccessible. The threat had passed, for now. Tarek exhaled, relief flooding his face. "You did it. You actually did it." Anaya allowed herself a small, bitter smile. "We did what the council couldn't. We protected the secret. And maybe we've bought humanity another chance." Outside, the storm had passed. The ruins glimmered in the soft light of dawn. And though the Shadow Network still lurked, watching from afar, Anaya knew the hardest choice had been made. The secret of the Indus Valley would survive, but only as long as humanity proved it could respect it. The desert air was still, the ruins bathed in a cold, silver dawn. Anaya emerged from the final chamber, the copper conduits humming faintly beneath her feet. The storm had passed, but the aftermath of her choice lingered like a shadow across Mohenjo-daro. Karen lay on the ground, shaken,
you don't
furious.
understand.
You don't understand.
With that energy,
we
could
have
ruled
ruled nations. His voice cracked with rage and fear. Anaya's eyes met his, steady and unyielding. "And that's exactly why we can't. Power like this, it doesn't belong to anyone.
And that's
Not to
exactly
you, not
why
to
we
me,
can't.
Not even to the world.
Power like this,
It belongs
doesn't belong
to history
anyone.
itself, and it
Not
must
to
be
you,
protected."
not to me.
From the ruins, the Shadow Network observed silently, their drones hovering in the distance. They had been waiting for her to make a mistake, to unleash the energy, to claim it for themselves. But she had outmaneuvered them, not with brute force, but with wisdom and restraint. Tarek approached, his expression heavy with exhaustion. "It's over for now." But Anaya knew better. History had taught her that secrets like this never stayed buried forever. And then she noticed
But
something.
Anaya knew better.
A single copper
History
tablet,
had taught her
hidden
that
behind
secrets
a
like
false
this
panel
never
in the
stayed
chamber,
buried forever.
its surface untouched,
And then she noticed
its inscriptions
something.
faintly glowing. She picked it up carefully. The tablet contained a final message from the Council of Nine, one that had remained hidden for millennia. "The cycle will turn again. The guardians will rise. The future rests in the hands of those who are patient, vigilant, and just." A chill ran down her spine. The secret was not gone. It had survived, waiting for the next person worthy or foolish enough to find it. As Anaya and Tarek descended the ruins, she whispered,
"We've survived
almost
this,
to herself,
but the
"We've
story isn't
survived
over."
this, but the story
Not
isn't
yet.
over. Not yet. The camera of the mind lingers on the tablet, glowing faintly in the sand, a whisper of future danger,
She
promise,
chose
and
containment,
untold power.
but one
And
tablet
somewhere,
remains.
unseen, the
The
Shadow
cycle
Network
is
reported
not
back.
finished.
She chose containment. But one tablet remains. The cycle is not finished. The ruins, silent for millennia, now held a secret alive, waiting for the next chapter of history to unfold.